You never know what someone's going through in their day to day.
Made me reevaluate myself. He was sick. That's all.
Block this out. You lose yourself, but then you become the person you didn't want to become.
But seriously though, it is completely in your hands. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Loft.
Wow, we're on.
We're
wow.
back. We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Feels weird. Feels good.
We were on a long sabbatical.
Yeah.
Probably a month or so.
Much needed.
We're back. Studio's new and improved. Yeah, if you guys haven't done yet, like, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends. Let us know what guests you want us to have on next. We're back, and we're excited to keep filming. We have a very special guest today. Paige is back. We'll get into that. We honestly, me and Paige haven't talked in a while.
Impossible isn't real.
We have a very special guest today. Also, be sure to get your candles as well. We just restocked, so we're fully restocked again. So be sure to grab your candles.
Wait, plug your link. Plug.
I'm always like
Don't
shameless
worry.
plug.
Yeah, shameless plug that, baby.
You have to. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very special guest, a new friend of ours, Maura Herman. What's up, Maura? How you doing?
I love this.
She is someone who, Paige and her just met, but she's seen her around.
Yeah, Kev always surprises me with things. Kev's always like, this is who's coming over, and he'll like name drop like something random, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't even know that you were coming over today. And then he comes in and says it, and I was literally like, you walked in, and I was like, oh my God,
no.
I know her.
It's weird. So
I kind of love it.
Interesting how it happened, but I'm really glad it did. I hit you up because I know you're on a podcast. It's like Love and Then What, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get the word out there for the candles, kind of, and give them to podcasts that I enjoy or listen to, or just respect. You know what I mean? I really respect people who are, I think, outside the box. I wanted to give them a candle to put on their set. You know, just and give you guys a promo code. You kind of work that, promotion in terms of that. But then you're like, hey, do you want to get coffee? I'm like, yeah, sure. So we met up. Ended up talking for like 2 hours. Something.
Where'd you guys get coffee?
Starbucks. Yeah, my $8 strawberry lemonade.
Well, I'm just like, I do better like in person.
Same.
And I really enjoyed it, and it was just a real genuine conversation, just about, and something I respect about you is that you just don't like seriously, like the things you do, you just don't care, and it's like, at the end of the day,
oh yeah, brother.
At the end of the day, you two will realize you have a lot more in common than you realize.
Well, Kev said that. Kev was like, you guys are so alike. Like, it's kind of scary. And I was like, I love that.
So
love that.
I wanted to have you on, and I know you, because we just talked about so much. I'm like, dude, this could have been a whole pod.
I know.
Like,
it really could have. It could have been like 2, honestly.
Yeah, but we got Paige here now, and I don't want to start off this way, but I want to say, something that you both have in common is that you both were in a mental institute for a little while.
Nice.
I don't
like,
want.
how did I drop that in a 2-hour first meeting?
That's how I am. That's how I am.
Yep.
Anybody I talk to, I'm like, anybody that's like in the reciprocating end is probably like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I'm just so open. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not shameful. Like,
whoa, yeah, no.
No, what?
I mean, it is what it is, and it's just like it. You wouldn't be who you are today if it didn't happen.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I would still be stuck in my, like, I would have broke at some point, but I broke at the most convenient time of my life where, like, I didn't have to, like, financially figure out things. Like, I had to figure out who the fuck I was. And, like, if it didn't happen, I'm so happy it happened when it happened. Like, I got out of a relationship because of it. And, like, I didn't need to be in a relationship to begin with. Like, I needed to figure out who the fuck I was. Like, I had no fucking idea.
Yeah.
And like I'm honestly grateful for like my experience and like everything I went through.
I mean,
oh my God, beyond
it's
grateful.
Like you either are a victim to it or you're like
I could
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
and I could cry wolf like and sit there and be like, oh my God, like be nice to me, like whatever. Like no, like I'm finally in the back of the swing of things with like life in general, and looking back on like my growth within that period of time and like making sure it was just all about me, as like selfish as that sounds. Like I needed it. Like I was never selfish. 26 years of living, I've never been selfish like that ever. And I figured out who the fuck I was, and I still am. But like to be able to like reflect on my growth in that period of time is just astronomical. I love it. I don't
think you ever lose. You just learn, and you realize that you're in that time of your life.
Yeah.
And I think like even like we were just talking before, like, because me and her haven't really spoken in a while, and I realized too, like, I was in a dark place too, and then it's just weird because you realize, okay, like, it's just it's how you feel in the moment. It's not something that's gonna last. And also too, like, we also kind of hinted at too when we were talking, is that like no one gives a shit. Like, you're like, if you're giving yourself that victim mentality, that's just you're discrediting yourself. You know what I mean? And like,
I also can't believe, like, when I got out of the hospital and stuff, like, I was almost like trying to justify all over social media and like the people that I knew, like, I'm okay. Like, I was not okay. Like, even getting out of it, like, I was not.
Oh yeah, it's like a whole.
It's a whole
process.
I remember getting the day I got out of the hospital. I literally walked out and saw the sunlight and felt like a fucking vampire. Felt like I was gonna sizzle away. Like, I literally was like,
when did you? When
I
did
was
this happen?
I was 302'd in October at UPenn.
This October.
Wow. Yes.
That's
this October.
amazing.
Yep. And I like made it a point to just continue to grow and not give a fuck about what anybody talked about in regards to the process, because like my opinion and the way that I act and the way that I react to things like is constantly changing. Like there was one promise I made to myself, and it was like, don't give a fuck when somebody has something to say. Like, they could probably not even walk a day in your shoes.
Crazy. Like, people have stuff to say, and it's like, you could just focus on so many other things. So it's like, more recently, if like people are like talking about like someone or something or like whatever, and it's just like not something that's like a building dialogue, basically.
Yeah.
Like, if you're building someone up, you're building an idea or like a relationship or something, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, like, it's like
I literally will just walk away. Like, it's so awkward, but it's like my new thing.
I also
you're dealing with something, and like that's not about to be my problem.
Your
I'm already
thing.
dealing with my thing.
Yeah.
Also, my biggest thing too recently is I never realized, and I'm trying to like take a step back and get a little bit better on this as well, like actively, but I didn't realize how many conversations in my life were so fucking surface level. Like, surface level to the point where like I'm finally figuring out like my values and what I care about and like what I'm gonna put energy into, and like if you're not gonna provide that for me, like, yeah, hey, hi, bye, but like I'm not gonna dive into a conversation where like it's either gonna trigger me or I'm going to sit there and it's not going to advance me in any type of way, and it's just like smile and wave, boys. Like, I'm just
Well, it's interesting because I actually was in, like, I got 302'd when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
So social media was not, like, we had Facebook, but we didn't have Instagram.
Yeah.
And now I'll put anything on Instagram, so I don't even know what that would have looked like.
Trust me, it would have looked bad because I did it.
Well, listen, she's like, we'll get into more about you and your story, but she said something very important that I took from our conversation, was that closed mouths don't get fed. You know what I mean? Like, you just look at like what you're like, people in the beginning, you start something, you look at your numbers, whatever, but you realize that there are so many people watching, you don't realize they're not going to like your shit all the time, and the numbers don't matter. But people aren't going to interact with you until they see consistency, because in the beginning people want to keep you down, and then once you get up to a certain point, it's like, oh shit, remember when
you're constantly gonna have haters too.
Yeah.
Like, you're constantly gonna have
just,
people
like, don't
talking
even
shit.
focus on that.
Exactly.
Though.
Well,
I
that's
literally like, people will be like, how do you deal with that? I'm like, I don't even know that that's happening.
You don't realize it because you don't pay any mind to it, and I don't either. It's just like I said, something you said, it's like, dude, like, just if you have an idea or something, to be completely yourself, because that's gonna attract the people you're supposed to, and we've got the people who aren't supposed to be there.
Well, and it's like, also, it's funny because like, it's not my ex, but this kid that I used to, this guy, I need to stop calling men kids.
I do that.
Kid.
They are kids.
It's so
Men
bad.
are little boys.
Not all of us.
This guy that I used to talk to, we were talking the other day, and like, he's really big on TikTok, but he's like an athlete, so his audience is primarily like around his sport. So like, I forget what I was saying, but he was basically like, you're so cringe, like, on TikTok. I'm like, why? Like, I don't care. And he's like, you're never gonna get a man posting like the way that you're posting. I'm like, I'm not doing it for men.
That's another thing.
Well,
I hate that.
Well, you're not gonna. Like,
And I'm like, I'm
hate
doing
that.
it, one, because I have like so much fun making videos, and it's like, I literally can occupy myself for hours.
Oh yeah.
And he'll be like
I
I sent him one the other day, and I was like, because like I used some of his text messages in the TikTok, and so I was like, I don't want you to bitch me out later, okay? I was like,
put him in the talk.
This is
this is what's about to happen. I was like, don't give me shit later. And he's like, I just feel like you put way too much effort into that for 100 likes. And I'm like,
it's funny to me, and
likes.
I'm having fun.
It's not about likes. It's also the same time. Also the same time too.
Obviously.
All it takes is one. All it takes is one.
Well, that tw.
Like you get a TikTok that gets like it's 500,000 likes or some bullshit. Like it could be that one idea because you've learned from all those other ideas that failed. That one that.
Well, it's just about showing up. Like
showing up.
You know what's wild too?
I know people there are people who get paid to be themselves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
Literally. So that's as simple as
all
that.
I've got on that.
In a sentence.
But like also my thing is like I'm really big on like for a while I was like, oh my God, when I got out of the hospital, I went right back on my phone. Like, why did I do that? Like, holy fucking shit, I should have stayed away. And I'm just
imagine how that would be.
But also like I look back on it, instead of beating myself up, I'm like, look how far you've come.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I delete shit all the time. Like, I'm queen of, like, restart. I'm having a crisis, cut my hair off, did that today. Literally was like,
story of my life.
Yes, like, I'm like, I don't care, but I'm doing it at the end of the day for me.
Yeah. 100%.
Like, I don't care what state I'm at or, like, what, like, if anybody's taking it as, like, oh, she's putting this out there and blah, blah, blah. Like, I literally don't give a fuck. At all. Like, it's the last thing that's on my mind.
But there's power in restarting.
Yes.
You know, there's sometimes.
And I'm going to keep doing it.
Because, you know what I mean? It's like kind of how what we talked about is that how you kind of weren't around for people, just weren't answering. You kind of just like isolated yourself, which is like perfectly fine. But it's like.
I absolutely did.
But you said, hey, like, if I kept committing to these things and attending these things, I wouldn't have got better. So
I wouldn't have been authentic. I would have lied about it.
And instead, you just completely shut yourself out.
Yeah.
And you came back, you know?
And, like, that's what
that's what I have to do. That.
Exactly. Just restart.
Well, like, I even had a conversation, like, being completely transparent. Like, Kev and I haven't, like, actually sat down and talked with each other in probably over a month.
Like no
almost 2 months.
No podcast shit or nothing. Just haven't talked.
And like I sent him a text message and I was like, listen, like authentically, like I'm not there. I'm going through so much stuff. And like I'm at the point in my life where I have several different things that I need to take care of. And I was like, I have to make sure that like financially and like mentally that's number one, and I have to take a step back. And I was like, I told him, I was like, we had a podcast planned, was it 2 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I texted him and I was like, I really can't, like, I really need to just take a break really quick because so much is going on that like I could make it happen, but like authentically I wouldn't be there. And also I think it would have put me in a deeper like mental state where I was, like it would have been darker because I would have been hashing out stuff that I wasn't even coming to terms with yet. So like how am I going to sit there and like vent about it when I know it's not going to pull me up? Like I know it's going to pull me back down. Like I'm not ready for that right now. So I had to man up and just be like, I can't. Like I need to figure it out right now.
You don't want to. Like
I just
because
point
it's
blank
not what's best for you.
Yes. Yeah. And like that is one of my hardest things that I've had to come to terms with that I didn't do, was like literally being able to look at somebody and be like, I can't do it. Or like I don't owe an explanation for a million things. And like, because then I'm sitting there for 3 days, like, how am I going to even type up this message? Like, it's exhausting. Like, I care too much about certain things, but like, just because I can't do it doesn't mean I don't care about it. Like, I care about it so much that I'm going to take a step away to make sure that I'm functioning to my fullest ability to be able to perform XYZ task.
I mean, my friends will tell you that this is like, that's like my toxic trait. I don't think it's toxic. Everyone else in my life does. I will isolate the fuck out of myself.
I have to.
But like exactly.
I have
to because I'm just like, hey, I don't want to say something that's gonna like I love our relationship, our friendship. I love you as a person. Like, what X, Y, or Z happened, and it made me feel this way, and I need space.
Yeah.
We'll say devil's advocate for a minute. Like,
I know you're saying.
So no, I was gonna say, it's also important too, you know, to have, if you can't commit to something, perfectly fine, whatever. But like to at least be vocal about it, you know, to at least tell somebody. I had this issue like years ago with someone who's not in my life anymore, but he would never tell me anything. And I'm like, where the fuck you go? Why am I wondering? Why am I texting your mom, seeing how you're doing? Why am I checking? You know what I mean? It's like, if you could just let them know, hey, I'm not good. I need some space. I need to be by myself.
Yeah.
That would be much better than not giving an answer at all. Because in reality, the situation, though,
100%.
How hard is it to say, hey, Kev, listen, I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
It's all good. And but you told me that with the Grace Project, which and a part of you, and you telling me that you couldn't do anything, I respected that. And I told you that. I was like, listen, you're good. Like, just get better.
Oh, your response made me cry. I cried.
Well,
I literally, you were just like, you basically responded and you were like, listen, you don't have to explain yourself. I completely get it. Like, I love you. If you need anything, you know that I'm here. And I was just like, it was that easy.
But that's all it is.
Like, it was just as simple as that. So, like, my challenge to people that are going through that too, like, if you have that lingering thought process in your head of, it's like, what am I going to say? Just be honest about it. And just get it over as soon as you can, because that thought lingers with you. Like, and it pops up in moments where like something else might pile up and you're like, well, I also have to get back to this and like whatever. When you're straightforward to people, like, and you're like, hey, listen, I'm trying to make this work. It's just not in my cards right now. I have a million things that like I need to get right to make sure I'm back sooner than later. And it's not all convoluted. And it's just, it would have if I would have came back on the podcast and I would have sat down and talked, one, it wouldn't have been authentic. Two, I would have probably been losing my mind because I had 1,000 other things on my mind. And three, I think that it would have just prolonged the process of things blowing up.
Exactly.
And like, I'm not doing that anymore in my life.
Something I've realized too is that when you tell the truth, you never have to remember what you said.
Yeah. And I don't have time to, I don't have time to remember lies.
For not lying.
It's true.
Like, genuinely, I'm like, I cannot remember, like,
I'm queen disassociation. I don't even know what underwear I wore yesterday. Like, what the fuck? Like, gun to my head. Like, did you I don't even know. Something so simple this morning, I would have been like, I have no idea. I cannot remember lies. Like, my life is way too hectic and like on a day-to-day basis. Like, somebody looked at me the other day and they were like, when's the last relaxing day that you had in your life? And I was like, if I don't figure it out now and I don't take it day by day, like, it's just going to explode. I just need to figure it out. That's why I can't lie to people. I have to be straightforward. And like, if I wasn't like that this past month, I would have never been back here. Yeah. I would have lost my fucking shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely 100%.
I mean, I feel like though sometimes it's like an energy. Like, I have friends, like, one of my really good girlfriends, she's like an over communicator. Yeah. And I'm like, I can get reclusive. And I'm like, bruh, like, I need space. And she'll be like, well, I never had a girlfriend tell me that they need space before. Like, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay, well, first time, here we go.
It sounds like a little bit of insecurity, but that's a different conversation.
But that's another thing too. Like, you have to realize that a lot of like,
I'm on my third glass, by the way. You guys are
in your third glass?
Well, you can have my glass because I actually don't drink.
You don't drink. But you work at a club. She works at Vesper.
You do? Yeah. Wait, I love that.
Yeah, wait, Paige is like,
I get put that in there.
But I don't want to lose really? That one's a good one.
Oh my God, you don't drink. That's insane.
It depends. Like, if I was in like Mykonos right now and
are you a smoker though?
Oh, I smoke weed.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say these guys.
Smoke weed. She's like, I smoke crack.
It's got to be one or the other.
Before coming over
I
here.
smoke crack.
That's so funny though. I am going to take this because
and spill it.
I'm thirsty.
Thirsty ass.
Yeah.
So Maura,
I just went to a wine class the other day. Barefoot's not fun. No, I'm kidding.
Listen, dude,
I'm kidding. I'm totally.
See what I gotta deal with on this fucking pod.
I'm back. Full force, baby.
She goes away. It's like, I want that one and that one.
I actually have
Maura,
when it comes to drinking.
You have a brand.
Yes.
Fair Garden.
Mm-hmm. Wait.
Talk to me about it. We have these amazing hats.
I'm
wearing this out to my to all my gigs. I'm wearing it to my gig
all of them.
Not this weekend.
Let me find out you're not wearing.
I'll be honest, sure. No, I'm gonna get pictures and tag you. My screwball. I'm gonna do a double brand deal.
I literally have
Screwball and Fairy Garden. I actually do really like the brand a lot, and
it's so funny because like I feel like
that's how I first started following you. I'm pretty positive I follow you on all social media because Kate Rogers bought something.
Is my queen.
Yep, she bought something and she tagged it, and I was like, wait, this is dope.
She's my
and then
favorite.
I was looking through it, and then what's it called? Nugget was come on my podcast, and I was like, oh my god, he has her on. I was like, I know her. I don't know her. But I know her.
You do.
Yes.
I know her.
So talk about it. Talk about it. How where it got started. I know.
What?
No, we talked about it, but I want you to tell.
Okay, so, well, it's funny because like I feel like guys are so hit or miss with it. It's like
I love it.
Like if they fuck with it or not.
Yeah, they'll be like,
well, I mean,
like, oh, it's fairy. I'm like, bitch, it's not even about a fairy.
I was telling you.
I hate explaining.
No, I'll tell you when it starts popping. Like it's gonna be like Harry Styles in a dress. Everyone's gonna want to fucking wear it.
No,
it's like it's not gonna matter. The name of it is gonna be trendy. It's not gonna be like oh shit. Like
it's hilarious because remember how like I told you I had to start trademarking things.
Robin, what you
like
say?
remember how like I was telling you about the podcast, like my podcast got taken
by Harry Jowsey, fucking loser.
Nuh-uh.
Like crazy. Yeah, so
she lived in LA.
Long story short, quick, which hopefully this doesn't go viral and then I have to fight people later. I had probably been doing it since I think like October or November
of 2021
of 2020.
Okay. And you an OG.
Or like honestly maybe.
But you were at that studio, right?
Well, so I was in touch with the studio, Melrose Podcasting, and
wait, I've heard of that.
Well, they teamed up with Harry Jowsey and launched whatever the frick
Jowsey.
What is his
name?
What even is his name?
She doesn't give a fuck.
Harry Jowsey,
the hot guy from Too Hot to Handle. But so I was like in communication with this like Melrose Podcasting because I was like I don't want to keep recording this on my toilet.
Yeah, you need like an actual location.
I'm laying on cold tile right now.
Literally,
as comfy as
I would take all the cushions from our couch. Like my roommate, God bless her soul, because she was like this Delco girl who was living in LA, and we randomly got connected.
That's wild too.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So
that's
crazy.
Ratchet too. The bathroom, dude, like of all places. Like,
I thought you meant Delco. I was like, yeah, it is.
Especially Delco.
I'm kidding, God.
So I would end up like taking all the cushions off the couch, and she'd be like, "What do you?" She was like maybe like 5 or 6 years older than me, and she's just like, "What the fuck did I sign up for? Like letting you move into my house?" I'm like. I'm just doing my best.
I love you too.
Doing my best. Why are the couch cushions in the bathroom? I'm like, I'm recording a podcast. She's like, for who? I'm like, my 6 listeners.
Like, relax.
Like, what do you mean?
For Harry Jowsey.
For Harry Jowsey. She was saying that at Starbucks too, and I'm like, I didn't want to correct her because I just met her.
I literally don't know what is it.
I don't know.
I should like.
Can we Google it?
Harry, put on the Google thing. It's like Harry Jowsey.
Let me see the Google voice or something.
Yeah. So just put that on there.
I like reached out to this podcast and I was like, okay, what are your rates? Like yada yada yada, and I ended up leaving LA, like moving away, and then. So we were like messaging, and they had followed me. They either followed my Instagram or the podcast's Instagram, one or the other. And
Jowsey.
Jowsey.
Why does it say like that? All right,
Harry Jowsey.
So, basically, like, I was in contact with them. They were following me on one of the accounts, and then I ended up not going through with it because I just completely left the entire state.
Yeah.
And so I got back here in February, and around my birthday, which is in March.
Me too.
I was going to say that, and that's probably why you think we're similar.
Yeah,
March 13th, Pisces, babe.
Me too.
Oh, God.
Your birthday's March 13th?
No, my birthday.
Oh, I was like, I will shit my fucking pants.
Is March 8th. My birthday is March
8th. Wait, what is this?
We're in the clouds.
But yeah,
so, what is it, March, 13th?
Pisces.
She's 8th, I'm 13th.
5 days away. Dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I was like, by the time I got back here in March, I went to like send my friend the link. And so I went on to Spotify and I typed in tap in, and literally the same exact like font and the logo.
It was pretty similar.
No.
It's like the same font. And yeah. So his pops up and it's like new podcast, like teamed up with Melrose Podcasting.
That's crazy.
And they unfollowed me on Instagram.
Does he still do it?
I think he does.
I haven't seen it.
I was
What?
sick. So like the whole concept of my podcast was like tapping into yourself and like tapping into like a higher frequency and like just exploring like things
he
that
probably
people
took
make fun
it
of
so
typically.
left.
Oh my God, he was like, let's tap in and get horny. I was like,
You're like, bitch.
that is like episode
You're a
93. Like we are on episode 3 right now. Like,
Yeah, nah, you gotta
build
ease it.
there.
You gotta ease him into it.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was sick, and like
annoying.
my family would like crack up at me because they're like, what are you doing? Like, and I'm like, Mom, I want to be a podcaster. I want to have this brand. Da 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 da. And they would just be like, okay, well, what's your backup plan? And then I'm like, he stole my podcast. And my mom and my dad are like looking at them together, and they're like, you need to protect your intellectual property. I was like, oh, really?
Oh, now we want to go there.
Yeah, it's that I remember that was wild.
Everybody also trashes you until you get like one little thing that happens, and they're like, well, and like, why the fuck is everybody being nice to me again?
Well,
fuck
and
off.
it's even funnier too because like, so the first design that I ever put out with Fairy Garden, which is a concept I took from the Earl Nightingale book that I gave you, is create over compete. So it's like we live in a universe of abundance. I don't need to compete with anybody because there's only me. Like
let me stay aligned. I'll get what I need.
Yeah, like I can create whatever. Like I can have a #1 podcast, and you can have a #1 podcast. Like there's not.
Right.
Like
There's
I
give
don't
and
need
take.
to focus on anybody else. Like I need to just keep like my vision in line and like keep working until that comes to fruition.
It's literally, it's literally the book. As long as you know where you're going, like rest of everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah, like he talks about. I think it's Russell Conwell who says that we all live on like our own acres of diamonds because there's like this story about this guy who, he like owned all this land. This is like way like plows and horses and things like that. And he's like, this guy like lived on this land and he never, he like couldn't get, I think he couldn't like plant food there or something anymore.
Wait,
so
I
he
feel like
sold
I've heard this.
it.
Yeah.
And then the guy that he sold it to like didn't want to plant food or something. So
and
he like dug up like, he ended up finding all of these diamonds on this man's land. Whereas if the other guy would have just like taken a look around and like done an inventory of like his own, like what he had,
Like,
he
I
could
have way much than I
diamonds.
thought I had.
Yeah. And so basically it's just like, focus on yourself and like, you don't have to compete with anybody.
Goals or whatever you're going through come to fruition, or you don't see it surface when you expect it to, doesn't mean that the roots aren't growing. Like
100%.
you have to feel it out. And like typically when people break, and this is like statistically proven, they write about it in books and stuff all the time, is usually like right when they're at the brink of something.
100%. Well, that's what I was saying to him.
Because you feel
like,
defeated.
What is it? The KFC guy, he tried to sell his fucking chicken recipe. Like, I'm not kidding. 198 times, bro. Like, don't you think someone would have stopped at like maybe like the 70th time?
I said like 15.
Even that.
So.
But you have to realize you have I gotta see it through, my dude. What's that?
It's just a matter of like the only reason that there are people that we are able to be like, oh, like let's look at this person as an example of what success looks like. Why? How can we look at that person? Oh, because they kept going until they were in the position for us to be like, look at that person.
They didn't let the thoughts of fear creep into their mind. Instead,
or like doubt.
Instead, they switched it into positivity or what they have in front of them.
It's just focus,
Also,
and patience.
That's why I like having on the people that we have on and stuff too, because it's more so like, here's behind the scenes. Like you don't get that from the people you just see on TV.
Right.
Like you have no idea what that person's background is, who their parents were like, what they had to go through, like, and like, there is people that are a lot more fortunate that do have things that just work out, that are passed down and stuff. It doesn't mean that they're not dealing with internal battles or they're never going to get there. Like when you talk authentically and real about like the actual behind the scene things that people don't like to talk about, that's when you're like, wow. Like, I can fucking relate to that. And, like, you know what? I can do this.
Right.
And, like, that's what you need
like,
more of.
I think a huge thing, too, is, like, finding examples of, like, oh, I admire that. Like, you don't have to be jealous. Like, if you're jealous, like, it's just a, like, indicator that you want something, and it's like, okay, now that person has this thing that I want, and it's like, okay, so if they have it, that means that I can have it too. Like, why can't you just look at it like that?
There's enough to go around.
You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, obviously you couldn't do that with like a person. Like, it's like, I want her boyfriend. Like, that's a little, that's like, different. You know, but like if you break that down though, even further, okay, why do you want her boyfriend? Like,
it all comes back to you.
Well, he gets her flowers, or he goes to church with her on Sundays, or X, Y, or Z. So it's, you don't want her boyfriend. You want someone that will X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
you have to, but just really quick, going off that point, is you have to take those steps back to be like, what is the actual point that I'm trying to get at here? Because everything stems from somewhere else. Is what you need to realize in life, and it's what that I've really learned to grasp onto, especially nowadays, to take a step back and be like, I might want X, Y, Z, but like, let me break it down. Like, example, just like looking at somebody and being like, I want their career, or I want their boyfriend, or blah blah blah. Like, that's absolutely obtainable. But why, and what can you do to make sure that you're like putting yourself in the best position to at least get to that point?
Well, it's just like a matter of like looking.
People like the fast way out too,
and like taking like, what is it? Like, you just pick what you want to focus on. It's like, you don't. If you focus on I don't know why in my mind a boyfriend is the easiest example.
Because it's the most common.
But like, I feel like it's easy
for
people.
Everyone wants that to a degree. They want love. They want a person to a degree. Right.
Right. That's true. Yeah. So it's like, no, you just want some, like, you see that this person is showing up for them in that way, X, Y, or Z, and like, you don't have that yet. But like, that doesn't mean that it's never going to come, and it doesn't mean that like you're not worthy of it, or like. It's just a matter of
and it's not that type of person. Like, I was watching Impulsive today, and he had Kevin O'Leary on from Shark Tank, and he was talking to this kid from Harvard who has a business, and he has a fiance. Kevin. He teaches these like classes at Harvard, and the guy was making like $5 million a year, like off of it's like a hedge fund business. And is in college. Like, it's ridiculous. And he was like, yeah, but my fiance like says she's gonna leave me if I don't change careers. You just gotta think about what's harder to get, $5 million a year and that success that you want, or just to find a woman who actually wants to support you and will be there for you. And like, everyone in the room was talking about it for the next like 45 minutes in class after class happened, talk about what's really important, and you know what I mean? Like, because as long as you figure out what you actually want and what's important, everything else will attract. Like, you want to have a brand that is bigger than itself.
Right.
You know, I want to have a podcast and a brand that's bigger than itself. If I sit and focus on the girls or whatever, it's like, I'm not putting energy into what I truly love and what makes me passionate. I think it's part of the reason why I got so down and was in a horrible place. And just like Paige was too, like, because I wasn't focusing on what I loved. You know what I mean? I wasn't focusing on what I cared about. I was so worried about other people's opinions for some weird reason.
Well, it's like human nature.
Yeah, and what was super refreshing about our conversation was that you kind of like showed me the opposite, where it's like, Kev, like, if you're not putting anything out, no one's gonna see it. And also too, be yourself, because that's gonna attract the right people. It's gonna it's the reason why you're in this room. Like, seriously, like, it's like, because I wanted to go out of my way to reach out to people who I could see.
I was cracking up yesterday when Kev's like, "Do you want to do a podcast tomorrow?" I was like, "Who's the guest?" He's like, You.
Because I was telling her too, and I was like,
that's fucking great.
Yeah, and I was like, you, my guy, like what? Like what?
Surprise!
I told her when I got back from Miami.
Bitch.
Yeah, I told her when we got back from Miami we were gonna do an episode, and then I was like, dude, like, and if you
he told you yesterday, that's so funny.
Yeah, and I was like, if you fuck with it, just chill with us, talk with us, have it come on the pod with us, whatever. Like, whenever we have guests on, like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that's like, I'm not. Like, that's one of the reasons why I kind of didn't really film by myself, is because I was just like, I love doing it with people who think like myself, who I have great chemistry with, and just good people. You know what I mean? And
thank you.
Like-minded people.
Exactly, because like, I find that I thrive when I'm with like-minded people. I truly do, and I obviously, you can thrive by yourself.
That's like another reason why I said let's get coffee, is because I thought that you were talking about Tap In, like the podcast Tap In, when you were like, oh, I want to give you candles, da da da. whatever. But I'm like, okay, how bad do you want to give them to me?
Give it to me, baby.
You know, because I'm like, well, why? Like,
yeah.
Just like,
what's your why?
Yeah, like exactly. And then,
but I like that you have the balls to like that's how I am. Like, if somebody says something intriguing to me or whatever, like I don't care. Like, I'm like, okay, like, when are you gonna see me?
I was like,
what do you want to do?
I was like, touche. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, say no more.
Well, I don't feel it's very hard to make me awkward.
Oh yes.
Oh no, I'm not an awkward person.
Yeah,
we met and it was like
same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
And you.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah,
we met. We literally. He was like, "You want to go to Nifty's and get milkshakes?" And we literally sat there and acted like we knew each other for 10 years. Yeah. And drank milkshakes.
And she was like, "Yeah, I had a boyfriend. I'm in the. I was in a mental hospital. I'm like, should I have her on the pod? Like, I'm like,
yeah.
I love it me.
But nah, it was good though. Like the whole conversation was very it was very refreshing. I walked out of it like, fuck, like I'm not alone. You know, I'm not. You know, it's just not like. It's there's people out there who think the way I do, and it's like
life's up and down constantly.
Yeah, and especially in Philly too. Like we talked about too. Like you said, big fish, small pond. Like exactly. You know what I mean? Why not?
But also my thing too is like if we didn't take the break that we took too, like I don't think we would have met you as early as we did. Like I'm already so happy that like you're here and stuff, and like that's the thing is like when you feel yourself breaking a little bit, if you pull back instead of letting that drag on, like I felt like I wouldn't be authentic. I don't know if you would have been. It would have been drug out,
like
and
it's
just
timing.
like like, and it's like no, like I don't. That's not the type of brand that I want out there for myself, like either. Like I don't want to sit here and like lie to you. Do I tell you everything that I say to take full-heartedly and take that advice and whatever? Like no, I'm constantly learning, but I don't want to sit there and not be authentic when I know that I haven't figured something out myself.
You know,
well, I think that that's totally fine though too.
But you know what though, I think
I completely agree.
Also too, there's also something special about, and something also therapeutic about doing what you love and what you care about. You know, like for me, like sitting here having conversations and like doing the podcast, like helps me. You know, it's therapeutic. You'll do it better after you do it. So it's like for me, I'm like, why not do what I want, like what I care about, instead of like, you know what I mean? It's like it's going to the gym. It's like like you said, you saw I went to the gym yesterday. I forced myself and I was like, fuck yeah. And I was just like, it's the thought of going to the gym is daunting. But when you're in there, you're like, all right, fuck. Like, I'm
like,
here.
Oh, once you're there, you're like, boom.
Yeah, that's the trick. Like, it's like, just fucking show up. Like you said.
Yeah.
You know
That's with everything in life.
For yourself. Wait, so back to that, like, story that you were just saying about, really back.
It's real back.
Really bit.
The fact that the podcast got taken was hilarious because of the whole concept of create over compete.
Yeah.
So that was like comedy. But then... So that was like one part of the brand, but Fairy Garden is the other, like, is like the
branch
mother of it, basically. Yeah, it's like a perspective.
That's what Fall Forward is, exactly. I
basically,
understand.
It's like an umbrella.
100%.
Like I'm like, this is like a way of looking at things. And so to play devil's advocate in the sense of like, when I say like, my friends will like make fun of me. They're not making fun of me, but they are a little bit. They'll like tease me and be like, "That's not Fairy Garden of you. Like that is the least Fairy Garden shit you've ever said." And I'll be like, "Damn, all right, I got to change it."
Kind of got a point, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly.
About random things, but so that came to mind when you were saying the thing about the guy who had the fiance who said she would leave, or. What's easy? Like you said, what's easier?
More important? It's like what? It's what's
That's
more
important though. What's easier?
What's easier? But also what's
easy is so subjective.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it's like, so subjective.
But let's say this. Would you date a guy if you made $5 million a year? Would you at least entertain the conversation?
To be completely honest, at the point in my life, no. Like not for the money. Like I'm being genuinely.
But my point is you know.
I mean, it depends on the girl. It depends on the situation.
It depends on
what.
But
like, why was she saying that?
I'm not saying you would attract the right girl. I'm saying, will you attract more girls than?
Oh yes, you will. 1,000%.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You attract more girls when you got a fucking K next to your Instagram name. I literally watched it firsthand. Bitches be coming out of the woodwork. Like, damn. I'm like,
oh, he's cool.
I'm like,
okay.
He literally just got. It's 10.1K. Everybody, calm the fuck down.
Like, I need to change my pants.
Like, literally, I've seen girls get crazy.
But that's my point.
So I can't even imagine. You know, I'm 5 mil, 100%.
Yeah,
but
it's just choosing what you.
I mean,
I don't know if I would pick someone who's like giving me that ultimatum.
Exactly. That's the point. That's exactly the point. Is like they're not supporting you. They're not supporting you. And what's going to happen when you go on business trips? Like he was saying, like. He was just saying like he doesn't have time for anything. Like he's not able to go to his their niece's soccer games. And
like
shit.
right now, he's not able to right now.
And he's in school.
What
but
he's doing is trying to build freedom
he's creating
for himself
freedom
later.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what entrepreneurship is.
And it also comes down to like, is he a good person? It like
right.
He might not be there all the time, but that's where open communication needs to come into play. Like these are my goals, these are my aspirations, this is who I am. Like take it or leave it.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. I think a lot of people don't know what they want.
Yeah. And if you don't know what you want, explicitly say that in the relationship.
I don't even.
I'm never gonna know what I want.
Favorite question to ask people. I'm like, if you could have anything and time and money didn't matter, what would your life look like? And like before, I used to have like a very like when I lived in LA, I would go the fuck off on that prompt. Like in my journal, I'd be like, I have a red Ferrari with pink interior. I live on PCH in the
double
pink house.
D tits. I am a 10.
Literally,
this is
that is so funny.
You know, but like recently, I asked someone, and I'm like, "Bitch, what the fuck do you want?" I'm like, "Shut up."
Yeah, yeah. You're just trying to figure it out.
Somebody said that recently. They were like, "Well, what's your 5-year plan?" And I was like, "My 5-year plan? I have no fucking idea if I'm gonna get a coffee tomorrow or not."
Yeah,
like,
but like you should,
Yeah.
like I'm thinking, like fairy garden advocate. It's like, what does that look like? Literally, what is the most extreme shit you can think of that you genuinely would want?
yeah, I'm not talking
about
shit out of the water.
like because what I want could be completely totally different than what you want.
Right,
Like
right.
some people want to literally live on a fucking kayak in Mykonos.
Bum a fuck.
I would do that.
Like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like then there's some people who want to own like 6 companies and have XYZ, yada yada yada. So it's like the best part is we could all have whatever we want.
There's enough to eat
but
for
no
everyone.
one even knows what they want.
I think what's most important is your why.
100%.
That's it. I mean,
but that why can always change.
It does.
That why can change.
You need to have a why.
It just needs to be
and you can't be hard on yourself if that changes.
Mm-hmm.
And just slowly figure out the steps and like what to maneuver and what to change and like constantly be learning and growing within the process.
Mm-hmm. I've learned to be okay with changing your goals. You know what I mean? Changing your why.
Well, like if you have a solid why, your how becomes none of your business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of like having your why and like that knowing. Like I always will be like, I know.
And that you gave it 100% too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
The how doesn't matter. It just
because it could come in so many fucking ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told you about like okay, so when I lived in LA, I moved there to go to hair school, and I would always be like, I'm gonna go to famous people's hair in LA, and everyone's like, she's on meth, like she'll be back.
I've heard that
and
before.
I'm like, okay. And so I went out there and I finished school. I had no car. Like I worked at a salon. I would like walk to the salon.
Yeah.
And but like back to the closed mouths don't get fed.
You're also a magician.
That's true.
But we'll get into that.
Literally, but so are you. But
Trust me.
so is he.
That's exactly why. Like you two are like. I think you guys get along so well.
Oh yeah.
So
coffee.
Starbucks.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, bring the mic because it gets good.
Just throw it on my phone.
So basically, I was in school there, and what I was saying is like the closed mouths don't get fed. So I left here and I was talking shit. Well, everyone would say it's talking shit. Really, I was just like, this is my plan. And everyone just would say I was talking shit because they thought I was kidding. And I wasn't kidding. But so I'm like, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do hair on famous people, yada, yada, yada. Okay, you're not doing that until you get out of hair school, which is at least 16 months. So slow your fucking roll.
That's me. I'm queen of being like, this is exactly what I'm doing. And people are like
the time in LA was like so synchronistic. Like I'm talking all the time. Like I had a literal fucking magic wand that was attached to my arm. I would be like, I want da da da, and then it would be like a pumpkin explodes into a
I'll let you finish because I'm literally the worst with that too. But don't let me forget that what you just said. Keep going.
Okay, so, while I was in school, so I would talk shit here. So everyone here knew my plan. Then when I was in school, like I would be like, I'm gonna get out of this, and I'm gonna be on set. Da 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 da. And they're all like, "This bitch." Half the time, they never knew what I was saying because of my Delco ass accent, and they'd be like, "What are you even saying?" I'm like, "Shut up!" Like, and they were like, "We'll help you get a job, but we have to tell them you don't know how to speak." Like, da 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 da. I'm like, "Okay, fuck my life."
Rude ass.
So they ended up getting me in at this salon that was close to my house. It was great, whatever. So I was there for a little bit, and I was done school. And one of my teachers calls me one day, like I'm talking like 2 or 3 months after I finished school. Like I should not be on these people's radar anymore. They haven't seen me in months, like whatever. So she calls me. She's like, okay, there's a celebrity stylist and he's looking for an apprentice. So what's up? And I'm like, okay. So I was like, I took an Uber. I went and I met him. We vibed like instantly. And so I start working with him. So I'm taking days off at the salon, and my boss at the salon is getting pissed off. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, babe, there are salons on every fucking corner in this entire country, okay? If you think that I'm not going to go to the Bravo set or the TLC set or any of that shit.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, you're high.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Like,
Like I'm like, you're literally high. So she's like, well, how are you going to do that? You don't have a car. And I'm like, bitch,
I'll figure it. Everything is figure outable.
Does not matter.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm like, I'll fucking Uber.
I hate when people ask me how.
Well,
how?
like
Let me know the backup, and it's like, just watch it.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Exactly.
Why is it stressing you out? Has nothing to do with you. Literally, shut the fuck up and sit back and just watch. And if it fails, sick.
Well, it's not going to fail. So, anyways.
Failing's when you give up. But
failing's
continue.
when you give up.
So,
people might perceive it as a failure.
Like, long story short, this girl that I went to school, I like gave my 2 weeks, and everyone's looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, you literally don't have a car. You are going to pay what you're getting paid for your day rate, like, to Uber. And I was like, I don't care. Like, this girl that I went to school with, never hung out with her outside of school. Like, we were just like, you know, girls like in school, like so we always had fun together, but like I literally didn't know her outside of the academy. So she calls me and she's like, hey babe, this is verbatim, like within days of me quitting this job and everyone being like, you're a fucking idiot, like you're going home 100%. She's like, I'm going to Mexico for the next 6 months, like could you watch my car?
No.
She's like, you just have to pay the insurance, $64 a month.
That's banging.
Yeah.
In LA.
And you were like
literally like this.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, yup. I was like, Mom, guess what? And she's like, how? And I'm like, I don't know. But like things like that would happen all the time. Like the street that, so I flew out there for a second just to like check the school out and stuff. Like the school could have had roaches in it, and I would have been like, I love it. I was 100% going to go, but I was like, let me go check it out, yada, yada, yada. So me and my best friend at the time, we went to the school. This is like probably like 6 or 7 months before I actually moved there. But we went to the school, checked it out, whatever. And then we were like just driving around, and we pulled off on this random street to sit on the beach and just be like, okay, what did you think? Like, this is what I thought, yada, yada, yada. So we're sitting there and we're going back and forth. Like, I'm like, we're moving here. It's already written. It's done. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So we end up leaving, whatever. 8 months later, we move in. It took me forever to find this apartment, but the apartment was like everything I asked for. It was like all natural light. You could fit 2 full beds in the bedroom. We shared a bedroom because that's just what we were doing.
You have to.
Yeah.
And so, so I'm like, I found us a spot. Like, it's time to come. Like, so she got in the car, drove over, and when she gets there, we like took our bikes down we literally rode to the corner, turned, and drove straight down to the beach. And don't you fucking know that that's the same street that we pulled off? We lived on the street we pulled off of.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I'm a really strong believer in all of that.
Like what?
Like a very strong, and kind of. So I told you I was like, I want to like go back to that when you were like, yeah, like I literally had like a magic stick. So like When I was going through so much, like right before I was through Etude, I found out, and I was going through therapy and like found out a lot about like repressed issues and stuff that was like coming to like full circle. That was like I was dreaming about. I was having triggers at like random moments that now looking back on it, I didn't even know were triggers until like now, like seeing what was happening. Found out all of this stuff, was also grieving the loss of like my grandparents who basically raised me and things, but like was trying to individually be like really into meditation, really into learning more about like the universe and how things work, and like just like a general perception of like how life really like is. And I was just reading so much, researching so much. Any second that I could get, like I would leave my boyfriend at the time's house, literally go to my house and literally like find myself sitting down on my bed saying I was going to look at something for 15 minutes and being engulfed in something for an hour of like researching, like, and I was falling really deep into that, but I was practicing it daily. So like, although I was going through so much mentally, I was really grounding myself and like trying to clear my mind to be the best person that I could be. And things were just happening, like unexplainable happening. Like I've never done a scratch off that like where I just went out of my way to be like, I'm going to do a scratch off, like let alone won it. And like literally the day my car got booted last year, like I didn't tell anybody I was like struggling financially. And it was like an $800 bill. And I did a scratch off and it was $800 even. And I was like,
that's wild.
And I was like, but then I didn't tell anybody.
Sick.
But then I got like so into like how perfect things were working out, and like that was literally one of like the minimal things that happened.
Well, when you like get in flow, it just welcomes more of that.
It was fucking insane.
And you can like
what was
play
happening
with the universe or God or source or whatever you want to call it.
It was insane, unexplainable. I will never be able to explain it in my life. But then I took it too far because mentally I wasn't like, I was just like, at one point like I literally put out on Instagram that I was a medium. Like, because I legitimately thought I was.
Well, you are. I mean, everyone has that gift.
Everybody has that gift and stuff. But like,
it's true. It's just a matter of being
I was full blown convinced. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, look, I swear to God, looking back,
You're a weirdo.
Shut up.
Looking back on things like that are cringe. Like
that's funny, bro.
I
that's
say
funny.
I don't give a fuck, but like I'm not kidding you. Like there's some days where I will be driving in my car and I'll either like text my friend something or whatever, and I'll be like for example, like I went on a week vacation to Boston like a few months ago where I like had to get away. And I was going to Salem and I texted my friend and I was like, hey, like in Salem, like actually not a medium, I'm a witch. Like joke around, and they were like, bitch, stop joking about all this shit. And I was like, that's just how I cope with things. It's fucking good. Funny now. I don't care. Like
I'm
anybody
like
can talk shit
about
her
like 100. I know
that's
exactly what you're saying.
And I'm like, I literally like I know what I'm saying, like, and I can laugh about it, and I really don't give a fuck what one person thinks about it. But yes, like
the thing about the universe and all of that is that
don't get too deep into it.
No. One, it'll humble you very quickly.
Yeah.
It'll humble you very quickly.
If your intentions are fucked up.
Exactly.
Yes.
And two, because if you're like, oh, I can play with the universe.
Yeah, like if you get like it's like for the betterment. If your intentions are pure, if you're moving from love, like
and two, if it only works if you work. If you
have to put in work.
Well, it's just acting as if.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's like the other thing with like the how. It's like there's literally 5,000 ways that a how can come about. You know what I mean? Like, okay, your car got booted. How the fuck am I gonna pay that, bitch? Why are you even asking that?
Exactly. I didn't ask.
No, exactly though. But you're just like, I'm gonna go play.
It happens, and you take it. Yeah, you take it. Yeah,
and I was like, whoa.
But here's the other thing. It's like my like favorite. Like, I guess to go against people when it's like, why would you play the lottery if you didn't think you'd win?
Stress ourselves out about like so many things in life, like, and I mean this, like, and I'm not even saying like you shouldn't stress out or you're not going to stress out about things. Like, I get hit with a fuck ton of shit all the time, but when you take a step back and you're literally like, regardless of literally what I was just told or what I have to go through right now, I'm most likely going to wake up the next morning. Like, it's figure outable. It's like something's gonna happen.
What it is.
It is. Everything just is.
Things get like crazy, and I'll just be like,
Here we go again.
All right.
What we learning now?
That's important though, because not everyone does that.
Well, it's just everyone is so fucking reactive.
Exactly.
Like,
and people react before they rationalize.
Yeah. I'm trying to.
It's so emotion driven, and emotion is like the most magnetic thing. Like emotion. Okay, so like if you're like in, like a visualization practice, it's like you're mentally seeing a picture. It's like, okay, I can see it. Like I know what it looks like. Okay, well, how does it feel? Because as soon as your feelings get involved, shit gets amplified times like 1,000.
And what you think is so important. Well, like, and your words in general, and the way you word things.
That's like I said to my girlfriend the other day. I was like,
I always say, I'm like, watch what you're saying.
Well, I'm like, right now we're doing an experiment, and I'm just gonna start talking crazy. Okay, and I'm like, and I don't want to hear any other shit. Like, I'm telling you, like, people will. Like, I don't understand it. Like, everyone's, like, innate reaction to shit is just to talk shit. And I'm just like, I'm not doing that.
It's the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing to do.
It's like,
to put somebody down.
I'll, like, bring up, like, for instance, like,
it sets the mood, though, too, which is annoying.
This guy was, like, hitting me up this weekend, and he was being, like, just so, like, sweet and, like, popped up, like came and saw me. I'm like, okay, like, so I like said it to my girlfriend, and she's like, yeah, well, I can't even say what she said, but she's just like literally something completely different, like basically like, oh,
he's probably blah blah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I literally just like stared at her, and I just laughed, and I just walked away. Like, I was just like,
damn,
all right.
Yeah.
And I just walked away because I'm like, dude, I'm not.
I let shit roll off anymore, too. Why give your energy towards something, and why have that thought process? Why are you going to go that direction?
Yeah, like, how did you just automatically go there? And I'm just like, I feel bad because I'm just like, that's just automatically like the first, like, I just, like, you're looking at me and I'm all giddy and girly, and we can be like, have a little girl moment right now and have it be fun. And you're gonna hit me with fucking that. And you're just gonna be like, you're just like deaded. I was like,
I remember last time I got fucked over like that. It's like, what, bro? Like,
it's like,
well, that's another thing. Again, going off of speaking about emotion, like, people speak on emotion and their own like they try. Sometimes people will try and just relate to their own story, and if they're butthurt or they haven't gotten over something, like, that has so much to play in their way that they react in itself too. And it's like, that's why I make it a point to like really just take a step back and be like, what does this mean for me? Like, why do I react the way that I react in certain situations? Like, let me ground myself so deeply so that I can literally relate to like where this person's perception is and take my advice on what I'm giving them, or honestly just even listen.
Or that's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel
listen.
like a lot of people
just want to listen.
Speak.
Yeah,
like people listen
just to
respond,
to
respond exactly.
Yeah,
and it's like, no.
Yeah. It's like, are you even hearing what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like a lot of the times what I've realized too is like, especially because I've gone through so much traumatic shit, like when I do talk about that stuff, I it's not that I don't want the advice. Majority of the time it's like, you literally, like, I couldn't even describe to you a day if you had to go through it. Like, I just need to vent and get it off my chest. The second you come back and you're like, well, this one time, and like, I get you're trying to relate and stuff sometimes too, but you're just like,
it's just that there's like, it's a climate. It's like a temperature. Like, you know when the time is and when the time isn't. But I think it's like, it's super like second nature, I think, for a lot of times. Like, I notice it mostly, like, granted, obviously, like, I work in the industry, like the nightlife industry. So, a lot of like, I can't help but to go back to like girls and guys because it's just so easy for me. It's relatable, common.
Yeah,
100%.
And so, but like, there was another, like, one of my girlfriends and like, whatever, friends. Okay.
Friends, yeah.
Sure. So,
sure.
So I was like, I said something about like, he's not even like famous, but like whatever. He's kind of like well known.
Yeah. Right.
I'm like, so and so DM me. Like, I was like cracking up. Oh yeah, he DM'd me before too.
I hate that. I hate that.
Oh, he also tried to get at da-da-da and da-da-da. He's a whore.
They're what you call.
And you're like, so what?
I'm just
looking
statement. I'm just looking at her like, babe, I don't care. And like also, like,
and I'm not saying it to like get clout
and beautiful and fucking smart, and you have a job. Like, I would try and get at you too, shorty.
Yeah.
Like obviously, he's obviously got good taste.
They're the worst kind of people. They're what you call one-uppers.
Oh my God.
They always try to.
I hate it here.
I hate it here.
They fucking stink.
I hate that.
Nah, they're the worst. But I always say when it comes to like emotion and speaking on your emotions and speaking emotionally, that's when you tend to always say the wrong thing. You know, like I'm trying to practice like, hey, let me think about what I'm going to say. Because like, dude, like I had some bullshit happen to me with like the cake thing. I'll tell you about it later. But there's like basically someone got put my face on a cake. Oh. You guys didn't hear any of that, but let's transition into. So,
a sneaky little snake.
Maura, you're our guest today, right?
Right.
Are you looking for love?
I just love love. So
I'm
always looking for love. It's like bad. I would have the podcast out now if I would just chill the fuck out. I'm like, wait. That guy held the door for me. Does that mean?
So you're one of those where you're like,
I'm like that.
Every little thing is a big thing.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? It's actually like I'm noticing about myself recently, and it's amazing because I'm able to like manipulate myself in a sense, kind of. Like I will meet someone and I'll be like, I get like rose-colored glasses by how people look. This is like, I wish that Tony Robbins could shallow hal me. That would be fucking awesome. Like literally, I wish I could do that.
Fair enough.
So I'm like, I'll be like, perfect. I'll see someone and I'll be like, oh my God, like, I'm gonna date them. Which no, you're not. You're not. You've been single for 7 years. Okay, let's call a spade a spade. You're not about to date anyone. Actually, probably. But
wait, you've been single?
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
100%. Damn.
But yeah, okay. Wow. I haven't. It's crazy to me. I'm like, how does everybody have so many exes?
I know. It's crazy.
Where the fuck are y'all getting exes?
Seriously.
I'm like, these are so many relationships. Like, this is so crazy.
Wow.
But like, I mean, I've definitely had guys that I've like hooked up with for a couple months. Like the athlete that I was telling you guys about his like how he was playing me on TikTok the other day. Like he's probably been one of the longer, like him and I, like I love him. He loves me, but like I can't fucking date you right now. Like you live in a different country. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so we talk every week, probably a couple times a week and stuff, but like, that's not my boyfriend.
I'm not good at texting people. Like, so I realized
you gotta FaceTime
I also like was a huge girlfriend person. Well, when I was in a relationship for 8 years. So like that was like that was me from 15 to whatever. And 21. 23.
See, that was like my ex. Like we were together for like 6 years.
Yeah, like we bought a house together. I was like kids,
could it be
marriage, whatever.
I got a dog with him. Yeah. My dog now is my ex's dog.
Yes. So like that.
Well, our dog.
You took him.
But like,
I was like, I'm taking the dog.
Went through that. Like, had this whole picture in my head. Like, oh, I'm gonna marry someone, whatever. Went on like a bit of a villain stage when that story just happened that we said off camera. Yeah. And then I started dating somebody else, but like I clearly wasn't ready. One, I didn't like get over the other relationship. Not that I wasn't over it, but like the way I acted and the way I showed up as a girlfriend came out, and like I didn't fully know myself. Like it was the worst timing I could have ever had a boyfriend, because that's all when that happened, like going through therapy and the like repressed stuff and all that shit happening. Like that was almost like behind closed doors where I wasn't even telling anybody, and then trying to actively like figure out my career, have a boyfriend, which like no, I have never been so fucking happy in my life to be alone. It's insane.
Well, I was like alone by default, I feel like, by accident, kind of. Like when I was in LA, like I
didn't know anybody.
I did, and like I always like make the joke that like Bumble, Tinder, Hinge, they should have paid me. Like all the time. It's funny because like even when I came back to Philly and I got back on it, I'm like, y'all are still here on
Oh
this
my God.
app?
I had somebody when I broke up with my last boyfriend, I went back on Hinge and this guy reached out to me, but I knew that like he was like hitting me up in like the very beginning of my past relationship, and I just blocked him because I was like, I'm not going to be an asshole. So I blocked him. Didn't even tell my boyfriend at the time. I was just like, whatever. Saw I got in a new relationship. Was kind of like, okay, cool. Blocked him on Instagram too. Went back on Hinge for not even 24 hours. This kid messages me and he's like, oh my God, long time no see. Like,
I'm talking, I never even seen these people in real life.
people were coming back from other. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But wait, I want to stop you real quick because you said you went through a lot of shit during when you were in that relationship. Like, but isn't the not the point, but isn't an asset of having somebody in your life to ease that or talk to them about that?
Yes, I 100% agree. But for me, I'm so used to figuring out everything on my own that I hide a lot. And if you ask me if I'm okay, like I'm like, I will say yes to your face and in my head think I can figure it out on my own. But then I let things build up and then I explode, which it got to such a point of like, I mean, he even looking back on it, like he even reached out to one of my friends and was like, she wasn't really herself for like the past couple months. He never called me out on that. Like he never brought that up. And I just think that I will never talk shit on him. I really like, as much as I do joke around, but like I really care about people as individuals and the stages that they're at in their life. Looking back on it in hindsight, he wasn't even ready for the relationship to begin with. It kind of just happened. And I don't knock him for anything that happened because I think that he wasn't in a point in his life where he knew what he wanted, what was actually even going on. And I don't think he was mature enough to deal with somebody like me.
Right. But you know that not telling people things isn't healthy.
Oh, yeah.
You know
yes.
I mean,
100% yes.
Well,
yes,
I just feel like
I didn't, but sorry to cut you off, but the thing is too, kind of going off of the conversation that we had before we even started recording, I think that it's not that I wasn't telling anybody. I couldn't grasp what was happening to me. And like, I've never had repressed issues surface. Like I've been diagnosed with PTSD. I didn't know what was happening when I was having flashbacks or dreams or something. Like I remember waking up and like, going back on previous recordings and stuff, like I was molested, I was raped, and like those things I was just saying like to him, like I was kind of just like, this happened. Like we never got into the extreme point of view that I had on it or what was actually happening or my terrors in the middle of the night and having anxiety throughout the day or like smelling a random smell and just being like, why am I feeling this way? Like I've never felt like that. So like the fact that I couldn't grasp onto it and it was so scary for me, I was more so in a point in my life where I was like, I don't want to ruin all the good things that I have going on. And at the time in my head, I thought that the guy that I was with was like, I should say boy, the boy that I was with was like bringing out all the best qualities in me. And I was like, I don't want to lose that. I was looking back on it. Yeah. Like I was the glitter. I was the gold. Like my personality and stuff, like that wasn't him that he was bringing out. Like that was me being authentically me, but I was navigating a very confusing dark hole of mine that like I didn't want to lose that glimmer in my own eyes.
I think a lot of people though like look at partners as like a stamp of validation. It's funny because I just literally made a TikTok about this like the other day, but it was basically like I keep seeing videos of girls being like, I stayed single for a year and now I'm scared I won't ever be able to fall in love, like basically, which like I love this for them in the sense of them being like, I don't need anybody, like like if that's cool, I love that for you. But at the same time I'm like, yeah, I've done this for seven years. Like I am like freakishly single.
You should be like,
that's how my best friend is.
It would just be normalized at this point, right?
But like a lot of like my friends and stuff like that are in relationships, like I can't comprehend some of the shit. I'm just like,
what do you mean?
Like it'll be like, oh, like I have to ask if I can go do this or something, and I'm just
I would rather kill myself.
I'm like, wait, what do you mean? But it's like true because it's like, but they are being a good partner. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, in a way, to a degree. But it's funny because like on the Love and Then What, we just did a live show a couple weeks ago, and they like my dating life always ends up coming up or like lack thereof my dating life. Yeah. But like I mean, I'm a woman, like I'm in my late 20s, like I love sex. So like if I've been able to set myself up in situations where it's like, this is my friend and like we can have sleepovers every like once in a while, and it's not like I have multiple friends at a time. You know what I'm saying?
Like, see, that's why
but it's like I have shit that I need to do. I can't like be asking if I'm allowed to do this or if I'm allowed to do that. I don't need to consider. I can't consider you right now. Like it wouldn't be fair for me to fully be like that.
There's a healthy balance between being respectful and just being a straight up idiot, and like in terms of like letting that person you're with control you. Yeah. You know, and
but sometimes it's like it looks like that, and it's like not that simple at the same time. Like I try to sympathize because like I'll be like, bro, what are you like? Blink if you're
blink twice if you're okay.
Yeah, like
I'm like, do you need me to break you out of here? But like I have that was another thing I really loved about LA is I was always like the baby in the group. Like I was always the youngest. All my friends were older than I was, and not all of them, but a lot of them were in like just dope ass relationships. And I'm like, fuck yeah. But like I know this exists. Yeah. So when I see something
you know in
like contrast to that, I'm like,
and you take me as somebody who doesn't just settle. Like you're kind of like me, and I'm very picky. Like I know what I want, and when I see it, I want it. But the thing with like the controlling part of the relationship, like it all comes down to, because
I think that's an insecurity.
I've been there. The person that you're with is bringing the past into the current relationship. Most of the time. Sometimes you guys just have a horrible relationship, and that's none of my business. But like there's a lot of times where somebody's past trauma comes into what happens right now.
Joe Dispenza talks a lot about that. I'll try and send you the link, but basically he's like, you know, your past narrative, like it just is what it is. Like,
and that's what I meant when I said
nothing that you can do moving forward that is going to change whatever that was that happened to you.
Exactly.
So it's like, if you're going to like, because I forget exactly like the sequence in which he explains it, but basically he's like, you know, let's say that this negative thing happened to you like a couple of weeks ago, you know, and it just has you in a mood. Now you stay in that mood for long enough, it becomes like your attitude, and then it's like your attitude becomes your personality. And then that's just who you are. And it's
we watched the same video. I watched that this morning on the way to work. Actually, I got to like 25 minutes of it. Yeah, the guy
was he with Ed Milet?
Yeah,
I love him.
That's the video I've been posting.
Yeah.
Like I just posted it.
You know what's weird? It came up on my like my For You John on YouTube, and I watched it.
Ed Milet's
and he just talked about he talked a lot about that, just like. And also just being present, like when your mind's going nuts, just to fucking try to find a way to calm your fucking brain down and just like say, hey, I'm here right now.
Yeah, like literally, technically nothing else matters. I mean, it does.
In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't.
It
doesn't. You know, because you can take what happened to you and learn from it, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be your present or your reality. Right. You know.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I remember I saw you posted that.
Dude, the other day I screamed, I'm so annoying on Instagram. I'm like, here's 40 videos. You all need to fucking educate yourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what,
I have so many people that reach out to me, too, and they're like, dude, shut up. And I'm like, I like it.
You know what, though?
Unfollow me.
You know what, though? At the same time, they're going to say that, but then they're going to be like, wait, there's some truth to that.
I go watch it.
No, like I did get like a lot of messages back from that, and I was like,
it's a good video. It's like 33 minutes long.
I
have
so many people that message me back or like my stuff. Like I put up a PTSD thing the other day, and I haven't posted it in that long because I was going through it. I cannot tell you how many people reacted to that story to the point where like I pulled it up at night, like the other night, and was just like, holy shit, like. Why do I knock myself forever? Like even like it's not that I knock myself because I really truly like mean it wholeheartedly when I say I do not give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. But like looking at that was just like, you know what? Like now that I've gotten to a point that I do post half the shit that I am like post or like talk about in regards to like who I am or what point in my life I'm at, like people do react to that and genuinely like reach out to me. And like those are the people that I care about. Like if you're grasping onto something that helped you, I did that when I was at my lowest. Like I had people that I would go onto their Instagram or see their pages and be like, wow, even that one line resonated with me. Like that was huge. Like
it's genuine.
Yes.
Right.
Like I don't care about anything else.
It's genuine. As long as it's genuine, people are gonna see that because people can see.
Well, it's so
bullshit.
funny because like, so much is like curated, and like, oh, for the aesthetic, like, no, that's out. That vibe is out. But like, it's been funny because like I didn't like I couldn't comprehend the concept of like curating your feed.
Yeah. You know what though? That was so true in 2016 to like 2018. Like that whole 2015, 2018. Now it's like, now people have real shit going on. No one gives a fuck that you have an aesthetic. Yeah.
Sorry. Also, my thing is too is like, look at that though. There's constantly trends. There's constantly shit going on. Shift it to your own fucking life and just run with it. Who cares? Like,
well, it would be funny because people would be like, I just love how you just like don't care, and I'm like, I actually really care. I really worked hard on that.
You just take it the wrong. You take it the wrong way.
I'm like, wait. I'm like, okay, yeah.
You're like,
I'm glad you liked it.
What you mean by that?
Excuse me.
That's funny as shit.
Like people would always be like, that's why I love your shit. I'm like,
you just don't give a fuck, and you're like, this took me.
I'm like,
so
I really thought about that.
They're like, you've never cared ever, and I'm like, damn, okay. Like, that's
really?
funny
That's
as shit.
how that's reading. Okay.
That's funny.
All right, noted.
Do you think that like your journey and everything you want to do with your life, being an entrepreneur and just having that pursuit, do you think that affects a lot of things in your life now in terms of like how you perceive relationships, or do you think that you can find a partner during your journey?
Okay, well, not to get all fucking hoo-hoo ha-ha on you, but like literally every astrologer that has ever looked at my birth chart, I'm talking like 7 or 8 people, strangers. These people do not know each other. Yeah. They'll all look at my birth chart, which is like a screenshot of the sky the moment that I was born, okay?
Yep.
And all of them are like, well, it looks like you're not going to find love until later in life. I'm like, bitch, who told you that?
Everybody tells me, like you already met your soulmate and you have a predestined baby and blah, blah, blah. I've gone to multiple, because when I was really involved with that too, that really sent me for a loop because I had so many strangers telling me the same thing. And I was like, I just want to talk to my grandparents. Are they okay? Did they pass on?
A medium and a psychic are totally different.
They're totally different.
Astrologer.
Yeah, they are.
Like, it's literally just like
your whole.
It's just like your houses and like
all of my, I think it's 10 planets? 10 planets?
I think so.
I think it's 10.
The moon and the sun.
And you're rising. Yeah. So
well, there's 12 houses.
So out of the 12 houses, 7 of mine are in Pisces. Oh I was like, no wonder I'm fucking floating through life. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, I am looking at you, but I am not here right now.
Like, no wonder I'm just floating through life.
The first
everybody
astrologer
says that to me.
That like I ever met, she was one of my clients at work or at school. Like we would get these like people that would come in for like basically free haircuts pretty much. So and everyone would always be like, how do you get the coolest fucking people? I'm like, you like the Jack's like duh. I'm like, y'all come in here bitching every day. And then you get clients that bitch. And you wonder why you're getting clients that bitch. Yeah. I'm like, you know what I did when we got here? I asked all of you guys what you're grateful for today. And then I got this dope ass lady that I'm about to go to lunch with on our break.
Yeah, it's a simple question.
That's another thing too. A lot of people that, especially like my ex-boyfriends and stuff, they'd be like, I did talk too much. I'd learned to really reel that back. But like lot of the times, like people would be like, you're very overwhelming. Like you talk to anybody.
You're just excited.
And you're like, but like that, if you don't like it, get out. I'm at that point in my life. Yeah. But also like you have no idea. Like they would see like snippets of it. Like if I'm alone, I'm even 10 times that, and I'm going into your full life story and sitting down with you at a coffee shop, and I will walk away knowing so much more about you than I do half my friends.
Right.
And there's some of the dopest conversations, and I take away literal life lessons from them.
Well, this
where
lady,
I'm like,
the first astrologer, she's like in her 60s. Like, she was one of my best friends in LA.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, she was, like, the first astrologer that I talked to, like, actually. And she's like, you know, what time were you born? I'm like, I don't know. I got to ask my mom. And my mom's like, I don't know. So I'm like calling the hospital, filling out paperwork to get my birth.
Just to find out.
The specific timing is important.
That's true. That's true.
But so like I gave her I only have my day and the year and where.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, like I can find out your moon. And so I'm like cutting her hair. She's like looking at my chart and she's like, okay, so you're a Pisces sun and an Aquarius moon. And she's like, you probably live in a world of your own. And like literally right here it says in a world of my own.
Oh, that's wild.
That's wild.
And I was like, get the fuck out.
You're like, hell yeah,
that's
yeah.
Right? So like ever since that was like one of the first times that like piqued my curiosity, because I feel like everyone will be like, oh, that's general, you could say that about anyone, and I'm like, I don't really think that's true.
I've had some of the most unexplainable shit told to me that like I don't even talk about anymore, because I'm like, you're not gonna get it and you're gonna think I'm a weirdo, especially with my past and what I've gone through. But like when it comes to that shit, like I'm just like, nobody would have known that. Like not a single goddamn soul. Like that's fucking insane. Like I'm just gonna take what I need from that and move forward. But like
that stuff's
not dive too deep into it.
That stuff's always scared me though. I never.
Well, it's like different. So I think what she's talking about is like someone being like.
No, I did see an astrologist, like my actual birth chart of like your house is here and this is what it means
like,
for your career.
Be like, it'll be like this is how you operate like for business. This is how you operate in relationships.
I just don't want someone telling me how my life's gonna end up or some shit, because because I don't think about it.
No, don't get me wrong. No. And I'm so I
you gotta take things with a grain of salt.
Believe in manifestation. Yeah, but manifestation with everything.
Yeah, exactly. That there's a certain thing about putting, because
you can make something happen.
You can speak that shit into existence. Like
1,000%.
That's a thing.
And you can drive yourself insane if you dive way too deep into it and think that you can manipulate everything in your life, which I've done.
I agree. Yeah, exactly.
That's fucking manic.
Exactly.
Crazy. But there's a line.
I have a question for both of you, because considering you, like I said, you guys would be perfect, like just as friends, like because you're a magician and you're a magician. Going back to what you said about the salon, how 2 months later you had that woman who you worked with hit you up when you had she had no reason to. What do you think the reason was? Why do you think why were you so memorable?
I think I was annoying, probably. But like, but that wasn't my intention. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was just always just like, the one really important thing that I took away from LA was it gave me like space to like just be myself. There was no one there who knew me when I got 302. There was no one there who I made out with her boyfriend when we were 14 and she got all of her friends to hate me, or like there was one girl I started dating her older sister's ex-boyfriend, and like literally I got ex-nixade. Like I didn't even like, I was in a senior house. I was putting money towards the senior house. I did not step foot in that senior house. Not even one time.
Damn, really?
Like, I was not allowed. Yeah. But, like, everyone just had this girl's back, like, whatever, you know what I mean? So, I never even had space to be myself, because I just had all this, like, preconceived shit just put on me.
Did you can wake up to be tomorrow and be a different person.
Did that ever fuck up, like, your self-confidence or self-esteem? Like
100%. But me getting the space that I got by moving 2,500 miles away
across country,
is like I was able to really get a sense of myself and like just be like who I am naturally, without other people thinking I'm doing this for that or doing this for this. And so I think that people, it was very well received there. I was very well received in LA, and I think it's because I was just being myself.
Were you shocked?
Kind of, like, I guess in a way, sort of, but like the shock like didn't last long. It was more like excitement. Like the shock became excitement, because I'm just like, oh, okay, like I can just be myself. Like it doesn't. These people don't care. Like whatever. Like they're on their own time. If they're into it being me, like if not, then whatever. Like so. But I think it's funny, because that's the other thing now. It's like my self-confidence is crazy, but like I think you hit walls sometimes. So like I came into myself while I was there so much, but like I had this vision of who I wanted to be, and like I wasn't her yet. And like it's funny because like I definitely my whole life I've struggled with like body image and body dysmorphia and like just self-esteem issues in general. And like and like basically when I was out there, obviously too, I'm working on set with like Megan Trainor, Alina Perez. Like I'm talking these perfect fucking specimens. Like so that was like another thing. Like I'm like, oh shit. Like these girls we just took 4,000 pictures. She can't find one fucking picture. Like I must look like a fucking stubbed toe. Like you know what I mean? So that was like super like I wasn't okay over there in that way. And then it's like now it's funny because like my friends from back there, they'll, you know, we stay in contact. They're like, bro, like she's here. I'm like, I know. And it's like, she is me. And I'm like, so like I'm like coming into like creating this woman that like I've dreamt of like my whole life. And like now I'm her.
Right,
and like there's
and it does happen. You get there.
Well, it's like
a process.
But you have to believe it, and you have to change like the narrative about yourself too. Like,
well, that's like that. Okay, so like even with like the body dysmorphia and stuff like that, like one, I fluctuate weight more than anybody I know. Like it depends what I'm going through in my life, like whatever. Like, and I was when I got 302, they literally told me. So I don't think I've ever even told this to. I told this to very select few. They basically told me like I was to the point where I was almost gonna die because like I wasn't eating. I was so manic and so many things were happening to like my body because of my stress levels and everything that was going. Like my endorphins were off, my serotonin, everything was out of whack. And long story short, they basically were like, your body's really fucked up right now. And I remember stepping on the scale and I was 128 pounds and I looked at it and I was like, what did I do?
Damn.
And I was like, oh my God, but I gained so much weight back so quickly because when I was depressed, I was going through so much more stuff. And then I was just like back into another slump. And it was like, I just felt like I was just like on this own body dysmorphia fucking roller coaster of like a fucking terrible nightmare. And I just took a step back even like the other day and I was just like, it's a very, very hard roller coaster to be on and stuff. But like, I have to get out of my head. The more I wake up every single day and I'm negative like, towards it, the more it's going to continue to last. Like,
and like you start doing things that she would do.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like she goes to the gym every day.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
Yeah. Like I don't stop moving my body nowadays. Like
I want to be strong. Like, but like a lot of my family, like obesity definitely allegedly, this goes back to like a fairy garden mindset type vibe. It's like a lot of my family would identify themselves as overweight.
Yeah.
And so I naturally took that narrative also. And in LA, I was always the thick one. Like, and I was actually, like, I really was.
Yeah.
And like when I worked in the salon, I would get like, they would like harass me basically about my weight. But so I had other other people painting that picture, but then I also, most importantly on anything, I was painting that picture for myself.
But the more you paint that picture, the more you're perceived as that person. Even if you're not
you're also creating it.
Yes, like you're not vocalizing it. Like you're not walking as confident as you should be. Like if there is a thick woman that walks through the door confident as hell, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably looking at her less than I would if I saw somebody that was insecure about it and you could pick up on it right away and be like, oh my God.
It's like the same thing as somebody owning their flaws. Like you can't say shit because I already said it. I already own it.
Well, it's just, you know, it's like you're perceiving it as a flaw.
Exactly.
And it's not. Yeah, it's not.
And it's one of those things too where like it's just like instead of saying, let's say, I'm overweight, okay, like, or I'm depressed, I feel depressed.
Yeah.
It's all, as long as you believe it as a state of mind and put actions towards getting past that.
Well, like a lot of, I mean, I've definitely like even from me starting at Vesper, like when they gave me the outfit for Vesper, I was like, what do you guys want me to do with this? And they're
you're like, what? Is it for Barbie dolls?
Like, I literally was like, I really, really struggled my first probably like 6 or 7 months there, honestly. Like, because I didn't look like anyone else there. And the girls, like, in my mind, it's like, if you're a bottle server, like, you're hot. Like, you are smoking fucking hot. Like,
you're hot.
And it's like, okay, well, bitch, you wouldn't be here if you weren't allowed to fucking take the bottle to the table. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's so funny because, like, I never would have said ever that, like, that's a job that I would do. And, like, when I moved back, my best friend, he just got me in there and he's like, this is what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, like, whatever. But like, it has been so healing in a way too, because I'm like, I'm a fucking woman. Like,
you know
hear
what?
me roar. Like,
you know what? I don't have a. I don't have a
not
mirror.
everybody wants skinny, like, and not even that the girls the girls I work with are all beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, they're stunning, and everyone has like a little bit of a different vibe. But I mean, like, most of them are like dark hair. They're all like very like fit, and but not everybody wants that anyways. Also,
it's overrated most of the time.
No.
All the time.
But it's like but that could go either way. Like, everything is situational and
different strokes for
perspective wide.
different folks.
Exactly.
It's all,
it's like,
you know what I mean?
why would you want all the same thing? But it's so funny because, like, now, like, I have obviously friends in the industry and we've known each other for years. Yeah. Well, not years, but like a year now, like a full year. And it's like the ones who have seen me before, like
when you initially came in versus like your confidence now are probably like, wow.
Yeah. Everyone's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I know.
You're like,
I'm like, but I go to the gym every day. Like,
but that's the thing. You step into those especially when you're ready. Like, my biggest thing, like, when I got out of the hospital and stuff like that too, I was just like, mentally, I can't do this. I have so many things that I want to change and this, that, and the third and whatever. And like, my thing is like, I'm like, let me focus on, now that I've gotten out of a very dark hole, I'm like, let me focus on what I specifically need. Like, I don't need to prove to anybody else besides myself that, like, I am taking the right steps to get to where I want to be, and
no
all
one's
comes with time, and nobody's doing it for me.
And I think that's why a lot of people
doing
get
it
into
all
relationships
for myself. Yes, like, I don't give a fuck. Again, like, going back to like that, I don't care what anybody else thinks of me. Like, you might look at me and be like, "Oh, Paige is doing a podcast now. She even came out of the hospital and she was doing this, and oh my god, she gained weight, or she looks like this." Or you have no fucking idea what my life is or what I go through on a daily basis. Don't fucking if you want to judge me, go for it. I don't care. But like, I am making the steps in my life to make sure that I'm happy at the end of the day.
Well, no one
and
lives
that's
your
life
life
that's a progressive.
Yeah.
And like, that took me so long to realize that though. Yeah. Like, I felt like for the longest time in my life, I had to do 25 things at once and get it done like in a specific timeline, or that I wasn't successful, or I wasn't good enough.
Right.
Well, listen, you realize that, and it's all about your own personal journey, and it all starts with, as long as you know where you're going, it don't matter, because let's say you being overweight is just a step in you trying to lose weight or whatever you want to do to change yourself. That's not your end result, because it's not your end result, right? And it's like you're going, and at the end of the day, like, it's like when someone transforms their body, it's like, oh shit, like, the people who are fucking stupid and naive are the ones who are talking shit, and that's their fault. Yeah, it's all about what you're going, where you're focused on, because at the end of the day, it's just about you. So,
right? Yeah, it's like your own main character. Exactly. It sounds so corny, and everyone like wants to talk.
It's true.
But like, if I'm not being like who I want to be, I'm not going to be able to show up for you the way that I want to show up for you.
Exactly. Well, listen, this is a phenomenal episode.
I know.
Listen,
I think I just blacked out.
You want
not off the wine, but
I think you had a lot to say.
I did.
You got a month worth of things. I
didn't even fucking scratch the surface.
Well, listen, good thing we do this weekly. So,
yes.
Listen, Maura, this is a phenomenal episode.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you for coming.
This is, I think it's what we all need. It's a good therapy
session. I don't
even
think I actively heard Kev's voice go. I think I locked eyes with her the entire podcast. Like, I don't even think my head's turned. that long for anybody else. I was literally like, I am so happy you're here right now.
She's like, oh my god.
She's like,
so how much you charging? How much you charging me for the hour?
Well, listen, this is why Paige sits
actually
here.
on my website.
Yeah, right.
Mindset coaching literally is on my website.
All right, so listen, where can they find you? Plug yourself.
Fairy Garden. Yeah, literally. If you want me with no pants, Vesper, usually on Saturdays and Sundays. And if you want my brain, probably on fairygardenmindset.com. Or
you want me with no pants on. If you want my brain.
Well, that can also be Saturday or Sunday. But
yeah. Probably not. Don't try and talk to me at the club. I'm just like, yeah. Do you want a medal?
I just want your money.
That's
I'm
so
like,
funny.
I want to go home and get high with my dog.
Well, listen, I seriously am. You're very inspiring. I think I like your energy. Your energy's amazing. Your direction, everything about you, I love it.
Thanks.
And yeah, we'll love to have you back on in the future.
Yeah, I would love to.
As a co-host. We'll I was telling her about
Fairy Garden.
Fairy Garden, baby. Let's go. We're repping Fairy Garden.
Hell yeah.
The Loft's back, motherfuckers.
So Tiff Bannister's coming on.
Yes, and be sure you like, comment, subscribe if you haven't yet. Let us know who you want on the podcast next. Also, go check out the Loft Collection candles. Got a lot of stuff coming with that as well.
And just say a prayer for me.
And say a prayer for Paige. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Loft. I'm Kev Nichols. It's Paige Pullman, Maura Herman. Peace, guys.
Bye.
See ya.